Annabelle Comes Home is the latest film in the Conjuring franchise after The Nun, Curse of La Llorona, The Conjuring 1, 2, Annabelle 2, Annabelle 1, and now we have Annabelle Comes Home. Now, the Annabelle Comes Home, this is a film about the Warrens that essentially leave their daughter to be babysat by a teenager. And that's kind of problematic because the thing is with their house is that they have a certain room, as you know, if you've seen the other Conjuring movies, that has a bunch of artifacts that, if you touch or if you open, in the case of Annabelle, it can ensue spirits to be leashed onto the house. And that's what happens in this film. And so ensues a bunch of terror. This is a movie that I was actually kind of anticipating because although I didn't like the first Annabelle, I did like the second one. I found it to be very enjoyable. I liked the first Conjuring. I think it's masterfully done. The second one's good for what it is. I didn't really like The Nun, though, so I was also a little bit skeptical. But basically, this film, I think the acting is nicely done. I think the performances are fine for what they're doing. It's well shot, it has some good quality camera shots, nothing too special. Some of it is kind of bland, but at the same time, I'm not going to really criticize it because there are far more bigger things I think that are problematic with this film. We're just kind of like, oh, cinematography, that's okay. This film is short, which I also kind of respected. I also liked how it brought forth new lore. Well, you can see the mechanics behind it. It's like, oh, well, this could be a future movie. But at the same time, it's like, some of it's pretty cool. Like, I liked the monkey with, like, the chipped tooth. I was like, that's pretty cool. And I liked how it was one setting. I don't think there are enough movies that are just one setting. And I think that it worked for the most part, But that's honestly where the positives end with this movie. I think this was a major letdown. The Nun was a movie, if you haven't seen my review, The Nun was a movie that it was disappointing. I gave it a passable rating. I gave it like a 3 out of 5, but I did so solely because of the fact that it didn't hurt my brain. It was just a movie that I knew I would forget as soon as I watched it. But the thing is, Annabelle Comes Home, I'm going to remember it because of how disappointing it is. This is a movie that it really is a shame because it had a lot of potential. You have the Warrens that are in a movie that's not even the Conjuring movies. It's a part of the universe for sure, but they're in it for only a little bit. Like, this movie honestly felt like a pilot for a TV show because you have the two characters. It's essentially, for those of you that know about the TV show, it's kind of like the TV show Andy Griffith Show, where the final episode, I believe it was called maybe RFD, which was a spinoff for another show. So literally it was Barney Fife and Andy Griffith. They were literally in the episode for like 5 minutes and then passed the baton to all these new characters that the show would end up being about. That's kind of what Annabelle Comes Home did. You have the Warrens in the very beginning. They give the keys to the babysitter, and then they're out of the picture until the last, I believe, 1 or 2 minutes of the film. That's it. So it's a shame because you squandered Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga. That's always a shame. But not only that, you have these characters that they do stupid things, and you can, I guess, kind of understand why they do stupid things, but they don't do stupid things where it's like, I see where you're coming from completely. It's like, oh, you're doing that, so then you can propel a plot for that and that. Oh, I see what you're doing there. And it's just a shame. And it's also a very repetitive film. Like, you have it where the characters are just walking. They're just walking. They'll look. And a jump scare. And it gets very, very dull. It's a shame, really, because it's like, oh, so this is all the material you have, really. And there's nothing really to move forward the plot of this series, too, which is also unfortunate because with the franchise, you always want there to be things that are building to a franchise so that it's like a building block. Not the biggest fan of Marvel movies, but I think they do them well. I think that each one builds a little bit each way to a conclusion such as Avengers Endgame, and it worked. But the problem with Annabelle Comes Home is it's not really building to anything. There isn't really anything to differentiate itself from any basic horror film. And that's a shame given the name brand of a Conjuring movie. So, again, there's just a lot of disappointment to be had. But it's also, again, it's a very repetitive, dull film that, yes, it's short, but at the same time, with it not really adding anything new to this genre or even this franchise, I was even more disappointed. I really do think that the filmmaking was lacking in some areas. It could have been more tighter. And overall, this is a film that the characters, the story, just a lot of things just as a whole didn't work for me. And that's why, for me personally, Annabelle Comes Home is getting a 2.5 out of 5 star rating. Now, 2.5 out of 5 star rating it doesn't get a hot sauce rating. And I'm being generous. You know, normally I would give this kind of movie a 2 out of 5, but feeling generous today. So I was like, why not? Guys, Annabelle Comes Home, that's my review for it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on what you thought of the review, as well as your thoughts. Annabelle Comes Home, where does it rank for your Conjuring franchise? For me, it's probably the last one on it. That or Annabelle. No, Annabelle's probably the last one. Still need to watch Curse of La Llorona, which I'll be doing once it comes out on Blu-ray, but Conjuring's still my favorite of this franchise. But enough of that exposition. Guys, again, comment section down below, and as always, don't forget the subscription, notification bell, and all that.